Welcome. You're watching Cat Facts Funny, a place where we don't rush cats into categories or turn every behavior into a warning. Here, we slow down, observe, and let meaning surface on its own time. Cats don't speak loudly, and they don't repeat themselves just to be understood. They communicate through small, consistent choices, and one of the most revealing of those choices happens when they sleep. Because when a cat sleeps, nothing is being performed. There is no audience, no adjustment, no effort to manage how they appear. Sleep is where intention drops away and instinct takes over. And that's why it often tells a deeper truth than anything we see during the day. When sleep becomes honest, cats are remarkably good at managing discomfort while they're awake. They hide pain, redirect stress, and quietly avoid situations that feel wrong to them. What you see when they're active is often a carefully balanced version of how they're actually feeling. Sleep removes that balance. Muscles soften. Awareness fades. The body chooses positions not based on politeness or habit, but on what feels safest and least demanding in that moment. That's why sleeping positions are rarely random. They're shaped by safety, by memory, and by how comfortable a cat feels in both their body and their environment. When a cat curls tightly, stretches fully, presses against you, or chooses distance, they're responding to those conditions without conscious thought. Over time, those responses form patterns, and patterns are where meaning lives. The difference between rest and readiness. A curled-up cat is often seen as peaceful, and sometimes that's true. A relaxed curl looks soft, loose, and easily interrupted. Breathing is slow, and the body stretches naturally when disturbed. But sometimes, a curl carries tension. The muscles remain engaged, the limbs stay tucked tightly, and the cat wakes quickly, as if rest was shallow rather than restorative. This doesn't automatically signal fear or illness. It often signals readiness. A cat resting lightly, prepared to respond. Context is everything. A tense curl on a familiar bed during a quiet afternoon tells a different story than the same position in a new or unsettled environment. Cats don't announce these distinctions. They simply embody them. Where sleep happens matters. The location a cat chooses to sleep often reveals as much as the position itself. A cat who sleeps near you without touching is not distant or indifferent. They are choosing closeness without surrender, which is its own form of trust. Cats who sleep pressed against you are often seeking shared calm, allowing your presence and breathing to regulate their nervous system. Others prefer elevated spots, corners, or doorways where they can rest while still monitoring their surroundings. None of these choices are right or wrong. They reflect personality, past experience, and the current emotional landscape of the home. As cats grow more secure, their sleeping choices often become more flexible. They move between places and positions because they feel safe enough to do so. Stillness as communication. One of the quietest signals cats offer during sleep is how much they move. Comfortable cats shift positions naturally, rolling, stretching, and adjusting without fully waking. Movement indicates ease. When a cat remains unusually still for long periods, it doesn't always mean something is wrong, but it does suggest adaptation. Cats are masters of conserving energy and minimizing discomfort without drawing attention to themselves. This is why change matters more than posture. A cat who has always slept still is different from a cat who suddenly does. Sleep reveals these changes gently, without drama, and only to those who are watching consistently. The meaning of vulnerability. When a cat sleeps belly up, loose, and exposed, it's often misunderstood as silliness or submission. In reality, it's neither. In nature, this position would be dangerous. It slows reaction time and exposes vital organs. A cat only chooses it when they feel deeply safe. Not just comfortable, but protected. Not every cat will ever sleep this way. Temperament, history, and environment all play a role. But when it does happen, it's one of the clearest expressions of trust a cat can offer. It says, without hesitation, that vigilance is no longer necessary here. Patterns tell the real story. The It's tempting to look for certainty in a single image or moment, but cats don't communicate that way. They speak through repetition and gradual change. Where they sleep over weeks, how their positions shift with age, stress, or stability, whether they become more relaxed or more guarded over time. Understanding a cat doesn't come from decoding one pose. It comes from noticing patterns without rushing to explain them. Time is the translator. Cats don't rush to reveal what they feel. They allow time to speak on their behalf. What looks unclear at first slowly becomes readable, not because something changes suddenly, but because enough time has passed for safety to settle in. A cat may sleep the same way for weeks before shifting even slightly. They may keep a quiet distance long after trust has begun to form. These delays aren't confusion or indifference. They are caution shaped by experience. For cats, time is not something to overcome. It's part of the communication itself. The longer they remain relaxed in your presence, the more clearly they're saying that nothing feels urgent anymore. No need to watch. No need to prepare. Just the quiet permission to rest. Meaning, with cats, often arrives late, and only when it's ready to stay. In the time, the familiarity disappears to time follow-up, when cats' mind fully cover the situation with upcoming further probabilities. This brings stop to monitoring and keep going the deep rest. Noticing without rushing to explain. Understanding a cat doesn't come from decoding a single position or assigning meaning too quickly. It comes from watching without urgency, from letting behaviors exist before turning them into explanations. Cats reveal themselves gradually when they feel no pressure to perform or respond, when they sense they are being observed, not interpreted. In that space, patterns emerge naturally, not because we demanded answers but because we allowed time. And often, the deepest signs of trust aren't dramatic at all. They're found in consistency, in calm repetition. In the quiet way a cat chooses the same place, the same posture, the same closeness again and again. Meaning doesn't rush, and neither do cats. Sometimes the most respectful thing we can do is resist the need to label what we see, to sit with uncertainty without trying to resolve it. Cats seem to notice this restraint. They respond to it by staying, by remaining exactly where they are, without tension or performance. In those moments, understanding isn't something we arrive at through analysis. It's something that quietly forms on its own, in the shared stillness between a cat and the person who chose not to rush past it. Before we finish, it's worth remembering that cats have never used exaggeration to communicate. They don't raise alarms. They don't explain themselves. They adjust quietly, trusting that the world around them will either remain safe or reveal itself over time. Sleep is one of the few moments where those adjustments are visible if we're patient enough to notice them. A cat doesn't change how they sleep to send a message. They change because something inside them has shifted. Sometimes physically, sometimes emotionally, sometimes simply because life around them feels different than it did before. And those shifts don't always mean something is wrong. Often, they mean a cat is adapting, finding balance, or responding to trust that has slowly been built without ceremony. That's why understanding a cat's sleep isn't about decoding symbols or memorizing meanings. It's about learning the rhythm of an individual life, the way rest deepens when safety grows, the way vigilance fades when an environment becomes predictable, the way vulnerability appears only when it feels earned. These things can't be rushed and they can't be forced. When we notice sleep with curiosity instead of fear, we stop watching cats for problems and start seeing them for who they are. Quiet observers, careful participants, and deeply responsive to how they are treated. And in that noticing, something changes for us as well. We become calmer, more patient, more attuned. Because sometimes the most meaningful signals aren't the ones that demand attention. They're the ones that simply wait to be seen. Sleeping position says. So the question isn't what position a cat should sleep in. It's whether we've slowed down enough to notice how and where they choose to rest. Sleep is one of the quietest conversations cats have with us. And like all quiet conversations, it requires patience to hear. If this way of observing cats resonates with you, You're welcome to subscribe to Cat Facts Funny. This channel is about understanding cats without fear, without forcing conclusions, and without turning every behavior into a problem. And if you'd like, share in the comments where your cat prefers to sleep most often. Those small details often reveal more than we expect.